Okay, so it's 2 o'clock Eastern time and it's time to get started. So I just wanted to welcome everybody. And on behalf of Contact North, it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the webinar titled Developing a Class Response System to Promote Active Learning During Online Courses at Seneca College. My name is Sarah Govro and I'm a research associate at Contact North and I'll be moderating this session. Just a few items before we start. The chat is open so that you can chat among the participants. Just remember to select panelists and attendees on the pull down menu. If you have any questions though, please enter them into the Q&A tool. There will be a few points during today's webinar where the presenters will stop and address these questions. Once the webinar has finished, I will post the link and the recording to teach online, and I will put that link in the chat momentarily. I would like to introduce our speakers today, Dr. Ken Wong and Margaret Osborne, professors at the School of Marketing at Seneca College. Welcome, Ken and Margaret, and thank you for joining us today.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, to this wonderful webinar organized by Contact North. Today is my great pleasure to introduce you to a project, that Margaret and I has been working on for the last few years. For those of you, who have been working really hard teaching students online, I know you feel the pain, right? It's not easy. Unlike teaching in a traditional classroom, we are now facing with all kinds of challenges. Especially, we have to find ways to engage our students online because they're very often feeling tired, bored, or get distracted. Secondly, we don't really have a good way to engage them to learn from each other during the webinar. All right, I'm sure you are teaching them a lot of exciting stuff, but in terms of peer-to-peer learning, we still lack a good way to engage them. To a lot of the students, learning online is just not fun. It's like sitting there all day long, listening to boring lectures slide by slide. And it is very, very challenging to get them to wake up early in the morning, like 8 o'clock. Guess what? I've got 3 8 a.m. webinars, and I'm sure, Margaret, you can say a few words on this one. How about your classes, Margaret? Do you have 8 a.m. classes?
Yes, I have 8 a.m. But you know what? With the international students, I've even noticed a dip that 8 a.m. isn't too bad for the evening, but the 11:31, it's, a lot of them are attending at midnight. So, it's challenging all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very often, I have to teach the same session, a few times, for the same course. So I need to find a way to minimize my workload so that I can actually recycle some of the activities and questions that I do online. So that's why, I see an opportunity there, to make things better. All right, introducing Mary, that is one of my students, and this is how she looks like, when she attends my class. Hopefully not, but this is the challenge, right? They may sign on, attend online, but they were sleeping early in the morning or they're just tired. How about the audience here? Do you face similar challenges? Your students are not really engaging, online? Yeah, I hear you. It's a challenging situation around the world. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them they are doing that because they are suffering from this thing called a Zoom fatigue. No matter what system you're using, they're taking their marketing classes, statistics classes, and all kinds of classes online every single day. It is very difficult to get these folks to sit in a place to pay attention throughout your lecture. I don't know how long is your lecture. I hope it's not a 3-hour one, but even though it's like an hour or so, it is challenging. That's why, we need to do something. Last month in Canada, we run a survey at Seneca College. I have a research project. And I was asking the professors, how they feel towards, some of the challenges about learning online. And as you can see from, one of the question there, many of the professors says, our students really suffer from Zoom fatigue. There are just way too many, webinars these days, and we need to find a new way to get them engaged. That's why I'm very excited today to present you our innovation. Introducing Presentria. It is a scalable edtech platform in which we're trying to help professors around the world, not just at Seneca, to better engage the students in the classroom, at home, but also in the field, outdoor. So there are four major components right now in our system. The first part of Presentria is called the Presentria Basic, which is similar, it's a class response system, similar to what you have come across in Mentimeter or iClicker and things like that. Built on those, we introduce 7 activities that you can run online during your webinars. And I will talk about that later on. Because it's a scalable platform, so we are going to take learning outside of your house or classroom to the field so that your students can actually, visit different checkpoints in the city to learn while they were there. We can push questions and videos when they physically arrive, either by walking, taking a bus, or cycling there. Our system also allows you to do some other fancy stuff like, online surveys and even like tests and examinations. A little bit of history, about this project. Yes, I started teaching back in, 2003, and Margaret, it's even a pioneer. She started teaching at Seneca back in 2000. We have been teaching a lot of students, and back in 2011, I said to myself, you know what? I really need to find a good way to engage my students so that, inclusive learning and teaching can become a reality. So I was looking around the world to see, if there's any other professors who share the same thoughts and feeling, because I want to join forces together to make interesting projects happening. I'm a Hong Konger, so I go back to Hong Kong often, and I came across Professor Paul Lam in his team in the Chinese University of Hong Kong. So we started to design a system called uReply. So basically, Presentria is based on the uReply engine that Paul's team was originated, back in 2012. Later on in the marketplace, we saw that Kahoot was founded, and then Mentimeter came to the marketplace in 2014. And Margaret and I believe that we can do something amazing as well in Canada. That's why we joined forces, and we get our colleagues' support, and we eventually founded Presentria Canada Inc. this year during the pandemic. So this is the team that we are having around the world. We have got me and Professor Paul Lam and Margaret and some of the key engineers for the system. We are not alone. We are working together with a lot of professors, both locally and internationally, to join this, Presentria community to make it happen. So the first product is the Presentria Basic, in which we allow your users and students to answer questions using 6 different kinds of question types, like multiple choice, Likert scale, text, private messages, fill in the blanks, and numeric values. Talk is cheap. Why don't we give it a try? Okay. So may I ask you to give it a try and take out your smartphone? Okay. And go to the website of presentria.com. And I will tell you the session number in a second. Okay. Because I have got a few questions that I would like to ask, the audience here. So imagine this is a typical webinar, and I would ask my students to answer some questions. So let's take out your smartphone and open up your Safari or Chrome. Presentria.com, session number 856. All right, let me just type in the chat box. 856. Presentria.com. Okay. All right, presentria.com. Or for those of you who want to try, you can use your smartphone, use the camera function, and you can see that there's like a QR code there, but it may be a little bit too small, from the screen, but it may or may not work, from your screen. So I'm going to show you a few, questions so that you can actually understand, the kind of setup that we can have when we make use of Presentria. Okay. All right. So for those of you who have logged in just now, you'll be able to see Yeah, you can leave the ID and the name blank if you don't want to share the information. You will be able to see like a YouTube video. So as a professor, you may want to actually control the video content because you don't want students to get distracted to say, you know what, check out this YouTube page and videos, you know. So with Presentria, it's very easy to actually embed this kind of videos in it. No programming required. It's just copy and paste a few things. All right, so you can actually select either A or B after watching that 30 seconds clip about this microband product. I'm going to give you a few seconds. All right. As you can see from the screen that I'm sharing here, I can see how many people log in. So right now I've got 25 students and 17 of them actually, answer the question right now. And while they're still answering the question, I can see who has participated. All right. So I can see that most of you did not type in your name. That's good. All right. A few of you did. Some of you log in but haven't actually pressed any button yet because you're still watching the video clip. That's fine. All right. So at this moment, I can actually show the class the result. So 73% of the students chose A and 26% of the students chose B. Now, this system is very interesting because I can push the result to your handset. So let's pay attention to your handset because I'm going to end this question. And then 1-2 seconds, now you should be able to see the result at the bottom of your screen. I think this is a very powerful way to help students to get the feedback because our competitors' products do not provide this kind of information in real time, right? So this is the key benefit. All right, so let's keep going and take a look at the next question. So as a student, you don't need to do anything. Your screen will automatically refresh. And in the rare situation where you are logged out for whatever reason, you just log back in, type 856 as the session number, and you go back to the right question. So this question asks you for the official name for this coronavirus disease as designated by the World Health Organization. Let's give it a try. The other day, somebody chose like Corona Extra. I said, no. That's the name of a beer that I drink, All right. Yep. Now, as you can see, most of you got it right. Okay. And a few of you chose the other one. The other one is basically the name of the virus, So SARS-CoV-2 is actually the official name for the virus, but for the disease is COVID-19. Now, once again, I'm going to push the result to your smartphone and you'll be able to see it in real time. Now, to make it even more interesting, as you can see here, I've got this show correct answer. So I can actually, click this button and it will tell the whole class that the correct answer is actually 1. So I'm not making up my answers. Okay. So far, so good. All right. Now let's keep going on and let's try another kind of question type. So the next question talks about how many seconds you're going to lathering, your soap on your hands when you wash. So please type a numerical number, maybe 10, maybe 20 or whatever, or 2 seconds. I don't know how long you're washing your hands. Okay. This is very interesting. Okay. All right. Here you go. Almost there, 21, 26. All right. So everything is changed in real time. And as a professor, I can look at the numbers and adjust, the speed, accordingly. The system has actually some kind of statistics formulas built in already. So I am actually showing you the median, the mean, and the mode on my big screen. And these are columns, and I can, of course, change it to bar chart or bar graph, depending on the kind of question that you're asking. So I can see that, on average, students spend 33.4 seconds, to wash their hands, which is pretty good. All right. And let's take a look at the next question type that I would like to share with you. And this is called the Likert scale. Here you actually see, like a slider in which you can select 0.1 all the way to 7. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell the Ontario government about your feeling, but or the federal government, but I would like to see, how much you think our government has prepared ourselves for COVID-19. Strongly disagree is 1, and all the way up to strongly agree 7. Our system understands that not all professors teach the same subject. So you can actually customize, all these like names or information at both ends of the spectrum of the Likert scale. All right, so you can customize it easily, or you can use one of the, preset, formulas for that. All right, so let's take a look at the results. Okay, median is 3.9, and I can push the answer to your handset. And I think this is really powerful because imagine you're in a big classroom, people sit at the back row in a big lecture hall. They may not be able to see, the big screen out there. Or similarly, during online webinars, not everybody can actually look carefully on my screen, just like what I'm doing here, because I'm using a huge screen for my lecture. So it'll be so tiny, on the web browser. But if I push the information there, that will be fantastic. Another really powerful function that I would like to introduce you today is about the short answer function. So here I've got a text question asking you to tell us what would you do to protect yourself against coronavirus. You can type a sentence. Yep, just type a full sentence regularly, simple English. Or you can use some keywords, whatever you like to do. What we're trying to do, is to replicate what we can do in a traditional classroom. All right. We don't want students to waste time to learn the system. We just want them to get it up and running. Okay, very good. So while people are still typing, okay, keep going. The system automatically refresh and show, some of the information there. For example, some of you will say, wear a mask in the public places, stay home, social distancing in the public. Very good, right? So everything is being adjusted and changed in real time, washing hands. So this helped the professor to facilitate the discussion during the webinar. And this is particularly helpful, when we've got lots of students, because I have a very powerful function that I'm going to show you in the next 2 seconds. All right, so let me just end the question for the demonstration. You see the little icon on the lower left-hand corner, it says word cloud. All right, so as you can see, most people, okay, I can just enlarge a little bit because I have a huge screen here, says wear a mask, right? So now, why is this important? Imagine I have got a huge class with 200 students. I cannot just go through it line by line, right, quickly. So by using a word cloud, I can, immediately see the most commonly typed answers. It's a mask, right? You have to wash hands, you have to wear this and that, right? Public distance, stay, okay, very good, stay home. By working with Professor Robert Oak at the Ryerson University in Toronto, we also add this function called exclude common words. Things like a and der, and all these like 200 words that are commonly used in this kind of question are eliminated so that we can actually capture, the relevant terminologies. We also have a word count on the right-hand side, so that I can actually see, what are the most popular one. Is rearranging in descending order. So having a mask is the most important, followed by hands and wearing and washing hands and things like that. Okay, interesting, right? And I can shuffle it because sometimes, word cloud may be a little bit funky. So we have got different algorithm, for that. I hope you enjoy, this kind of setup because we did spend time to discuss, what is important. The next kind of question type is very unique. I don't believe our competitors really master it well. It is called fill in the blanks. For those professors or teachers who teach in ESL or English or social science, sometimes you may have a requirement to get students to type in a question like fill in the blanks. You can actually have several blanks in a question. So here I only have one. but you can actually have like in different places. To create that, you simply have like 3 underscore, you know, to create a blank. All right. For those of you who are not from Canada, you can make a guess. Maybe Toronto. I'll give you tips. Toronto is a good choice, you know, because we have lots of people here. All right. So far, so good. Okay. Now, once again, you know, I can actually see, you know, what kind of answers that people are typing. 11 people so far have chosen Toronto, 1 for Montreal, actually 3 for Montreal, because you have typo here, you know, 1 for Brampton, another, you know, for Toronto with a dot. And then I can have a word cloud, right? So Toronto, yeah, is the most challenging place right now. And you are correct. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the next one? Online class is great, but sometimes students are shy. Maybe they have COVID-19. Maybe their parents have it. Maybe, you know, they got sick of whatever, and they don't know how to tell you. Definitely, they are not going to type in the chat box to tell the whole class that they're in trouble. That's why we have another question type, which is a private message. Students can basically use it to tell me as a professor, you know, what they are going through. Maybe there's certain kind of question that they want clarification. They don't want to embarrass me, right? So they will say, hey, Ken, next time, can you elaborate more on this? Or maybe I actually make a mistake, you know, and they want to point it out in a very gentle manner. Okay. All right. Okay. So I have shown you a few different kinds, you know, of information here. So why don't I show you quickly about the instructor portal so that you can see, you know, how a question can be set up easily and how it can be done. So the instructor portal is at instructor.presentria.com. And basically when you log in, this is what you see. We have designed the system in such a way that in case you need to ask a question urgently during a class time, sometimes happens, right? You didn't really prepare for the questions. And during a lecture or webinars, you just say, you know what, why don't I just ask a question right now, okay? Then you log in and this is how you can do it. You can say, all right, what's my name? A is Ken, B is Mary, or something like that. All right? I can just type. I can select different kinds of question type, how many choices, etc., etc. So this is done for the urgent, ad hoc, you know, Q&A, right? As you can see, this is bloody fast, right? This is session number 857. Now you don't have to try because you just did it, but I just want to show you how this can be done urgently during the class time, right? Because sometimes it happens. But in general, you should prepare your questions at home or in your office. So for example, here I've got a question bank that I set up. At Seneca College, we have got different professors teaching the same class or same course. One of the features that we have got here is to share the question bank so that a new professor, maybe a part-timers who teach the same course, do not need to recreate everything from scratch. So the course coordinator or the course lead can basically prepare all of the questions in advance. And then when they hire, you know, part-timers or another professor to teach a course, we basically click the button. Let's say I'm doing the contact north demo today, and I want another professor to use the same question set. I simply click this button and I see the number 400. So that when he or she log in, what he or she can do is to say, all right, add a share quiz, number 400. And then basically in his system, that quiz will be copied over, right? So here you go. Now in his or her, you know, system, this demo question bank is being stored in his or her system, right? So this is very effective. Now let's take a look at the kind of questions that we have got in here. Now we have got just now, right? You know, 7 questions that you have just tried. Do you still remember that video that we saw earlier on in the question 1, that video about Michael Ban? All right, so let me just click here for a second here. All right, so you see, okay, let me just enlarge it a little bit. All right, so you see here, there is like the video and my question, right? Okay, so let's say I don't like that video clip, all right? I want to change it to another video clip. So what should I do? Is it complicated to embed a video clip? Well, the answer is it is bloody easy. Okay, so let's say I go to YouTube. All right. So it can be anything. All right. Let's say there's a cat here. Let's say I like this cat one. I just out of curiosity, I just pick this one. You see this, there's a button called shared on the lower right-hand corner. Margaret, can you see that? All right. Okay, good. So you click shared, and then you click this first button called embed, E-M-B-E-D. All right. And then you basically click the lower right-hand corner, copy. Okay. Very good. You go back to your question. You click source right here. You just go to the top and you click paste and then click source again. Here you go. So this is how you embed that and save. So this is how you embed that video into a question. You see, this is like 10 seconds. No programming required. It's just a copy and paste, function, to the question. All right. I can do a preview. Did you see the preview? This is the little cat that I was showing, right? I can actually see that. All right. Ooh, that's cutie. All right. Okay, very good. All right. So to actually start the session, when you log in, it's very easy. So basically, you select on the upper right-hand corner, use question bank. Okay. So I select the quiz. So you can find the quiz either by date, created, or name. And then I just enter it. And then I can select the first question to show. I don't necessarily need to show the first question as a TV ad. I can show the washing hands one, as the first one. No matter which one I use, I click, and then I'll start the session, and then student can participate, right? So these are very, very easy, formats. Now, for those of you who are wondering, why we have got this very distracting background, out there, this is done intentionally to address some kind of a syndrome that students were suffering, during class time. We have got the ADHD students, and so there are certain kind of reasons, why we do it that way. I know it looks crazy, but for the young guys, they love it, Okay. All right. So I hope you have enjoyed, looking at a few examples here and there. And I would like to tell you some of the mathematics professors and physics professors love our system because they can easily add scientific formulas using LaTeX. So LaTeX is basically, a programming language to create these math formulas. There are also other, functionalities that I think is better than others. But don't forget, we are 3 professors: Professor Paul, Margaret, and Ken Wong. We are not a multinational organization yet. We haven't done our IPO yet, Margaret, right? So, when you're comparing the features, bear that in mind. It's 3 professors, not a multi-million-dollar corporation. But I think it's pretty good.
And can I interrupt you for a sec?
Yes.
I'm always one of those people, when I have a question in my head, I can't move on. And Linda's just wondering about, with the questions that you showed, can they be used with randomly generated, or do you always have to choose the sequence?
For now, you have to choose the sequence because remember, like I'm the professor, right? I want to make sure I know what question I'm going to ask next, right? Right? So I'm not going to just randomly send questions to the students.
Yeah,
right?
I think maybe the difference is that we're using it in the classroom experience, not so much on the testing side, right?
Exactly. So when we a very good question, Linda. So when we develop it, it is not meant to be like a examination replacement, right? Even though we can do it that way, but it is not designed that way. Okay. Now, to make it even more interesting, we also have Presentria activities. So we have got 7 activities which we can do it online during a webinar. So for example, we can have team competition. So what does it mean? I can set up different teams right now, and I can group them into group A, B, or C. You guys, continue to answer the questions, and if you answer the question correctly, you actually get points. All right. So this is a very interesting, concept. Now, to add on this, remember earlier on, we have got a question about like a virus name, like the name of the disease, right? So I can actually turn that into a question that will give a correct answer with marks. So 1 marks each for those students who answered correctly. So that information is captured in the system. You can view it online or download it in an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file, so that it is kind of like a quiz, right? So if you answer the question correctly, you have a 1 point. Incorrectly, you have a 0 point, right? So this is like a mini quiz that you can do. So here you can have groups, right? So you can see which group is better. You can also have a speed challenge. So you ask a question. So for example, here, the top 3 guys, answered correctly, and the bottom person answered incorrectly. But Lydia actually answered it the fastest, right? I actually capture the speed, the time that he or she is spending to answer the question, right? So it's a speed challenge. We can do it online, and that's the beauty. Life challenge. So the concept is easy. It's like playing computer games. You have got 2 lives or 3 lives, meaning opportunities to make mistakes. So if the professor gives you 2 lives, right? So you can only answer a question incorrectly 2 times. You use up your lives, then you're dead, you cannot proceed to the next level, right? And students love it. All right. Now, don't worry, they won't see this user interface. It's a very simple one that we just put together, The next activity is called pick or random. So basically, you will know who is online, and you can actually select the student, to answer a particular question. All right. Or you can randomly pick, just like what you do in the classroom, right? You can do raising hands or hand raising. So on the left-hand side, you will see a screenshot of what the students will see. So there's a question. Not everybody wants to answer it. And for those who know the answer, they will press that, icon at the bottom. Then it will be shown on your portal, and you will know who at that moment know the answer. And then you can say, you know what, hey, Mary, let's give the answer. So you press Mary, and the Mary will be able to actually press the button on her smartphones. So this is actually very, very interesting. Now, perhaps you may be wondering, why do we need that? If you only have a small online webinar, like small class with 10 students, you can do everything on Blackboard or Moodle or whatever, like or Zoom. But when you have like 60 people, like that is not effective to figure out who is doing what, right? So you need a platform like Presentria to manage all these processes. And Margaret, I have to tell you this, like my students love this function a lot, and you should try it in your entrepreneurship class. Basically, we have got peer review. Students can actually answer the questions and let other students to review the answer and give a 5-star rating. So for example, here on the left-hand side, on the smartphone of a student, the question is a cool one. Is the Earth flat? You'll be surprised with the answer that you can get with this kind of question. So you can actually, as a student, right, you can actually see who is answering what, and you can select, and you can give comments. You can give a star rating from 1 star to 5. And then the other students will actually see that on his or her phones during the webinar, right? So this is amazing. You have student to student interaction, at that time. Now, the last one is called peer instructions. It is a very powerful yet simple way to engage a discussion. Let me give you 2 examples. In one of the courses of retail management, I asked my student, is it a problem for a cashier to steal 10 cents when he or she, finish the transaction? Most students will say, It's not a problem, only 10 cents. Okay, that's true. Like this is what happened in my class. And then after looking at the results, I will actually talk about theft. I will talk about the criminal acts of Canada. I will talk about how companies have like surveillance cameras and system in place to keep track of all this like misbehavior. After learning about the situation, I asked the student to answer the same question the second time. I said, is it a problem? Is it a problem situation to steal 10 cents at the cashier level? Guess what? The whole class will say, yes, it is a problem. So by engaging this kind of asking the same question twice, you can help the students to think about why they have to care about the situation. Another example would be sexual harassment, right? If you see somebody get sexually harassed in a subway, would you speak up? Guess what? Most people will say no in the first incident. And then I'll talk about, in Canada, we have got laws and regulations, and sexual harassment, no matter what, even verbally, is not acceptable. They learn about it, they do the same question again, and then most people will change their answers, right? So I think this is an interesting way to engage in some kind of controversial or sensitive, topics. So far, so good? All right. Now, finally, I would like to introduce you to one of the most amazing tools that we have, and that is called Presentria Go. Introducing, the Canada's first experiential tool for outdoor learning. So basically, in our system, you can select some checkpoints. Okay. Now, there are two ways to go about it, but let's talk about the first one. The first way to use the system is that the professor will identify a few areas. So for example, this is Richmond Hill area. I'm asking my students to visit a Walmart location, a Loblaw location, and a Chinese supermarket to check out their click and collect curbside pickup service. Okay, because we're teaching about like retail management. So when the students physically arrive in that location, either by walking, cycling, or taking a bus or drive a car, when they take out the smartphone physically when they are there, when they log into Presentria, the right kind of content will be pushed to their handset, just like what you have done 20 minutes ago. So they can watch a video, they can answer questions, they can type text answers. And as a professor, you can ask more than one question in the same location, right? So at Walmart, you can actually ask them 3 questions about Walmart, okay? You can also give them tips, right? You can give them a small lecture, or maybe you can even include links to articles, or you can push a PDF articles to them. They will get immediate feedback if this multiple choice question, so that they know whether they're correct or incorrect. At the end of the trip, they can even receive a certificate of completion at the last checkpoint, and they will feel really, really happy. It's like, yep, I got that recognition. And as a prof, you can set up the system so that you can see the reports, right? So if it's a multiple choice, you see, who is answering what. You can actually, depending on how you set it up, you can actually keep track of, the tour. You can see, who is doing what, all right? How many points did they have scored? So that you can have some kind of competition like that. And there are reports, going on. You can also do in-car learning. So during the pandemic, this is interesting. You can send them to the same place inside a car. Okay. So let me do a quick demo, for this system in 5 minutes. It's very, very easy. And let me just end this. All right. Okay. So on the left-hand side, I have got Presentria Go. So I simply click Presentria Go. Trip planning. All right. Now, of course, you can create a new trip from scratch, but let's say I want to edit this Walmart trip from Richmond Hill. Click and collect. Okay. And as you can see here, I have got a few different, checkpoint locations. So let's say, I want my students to go to a particular location here. I simply drag the checkpoint. Okay, I say yes. And I can create a new question out of the blue, send them a file or show them some content. Now, the beauty of Presentria is that you can recycle the materials. So for example, instead of creating it from brand new, from scratch, I can recycle one of the questions that I've just presented, Contact North demo, microband at TV, all right? Okay. I can determine the score if it is like a multiple choice question. I can determine how big is the coverage area so that it will be shown, to the students. Okay. And I can give them feedback and things like that. All right. So as you can see here, I have got this coverage area created. So once that's all done, I will just start the trip. I will tell the students, all right, guys. So I can set whether, it's ended automatically or later on. I can have a description. I start, and I will just tell the students, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Walmart this weekend. Session number is G455. So when you physically arrive in the Walmart location, you pick out your phone, you go to presentria.com, type in G455, and then you'll be able to see, the questions and the directions. Okay. So as I've said, once the trip is completed, you can see all kinds of information. So down here, I've got the reports. So for example, I can have, let's say G448. I can have a map style report in which I can see, where the students have been, how many points that they have collected. All right. And I can actually see, how a particular person is doing in all these different questions. And of course, I can also, download the Excel file and see, how they're doing. So I think this is a very powerful way of engaging students. And I think Presentria is interesting. And in terms of benefits, you can differentiate your school and programs with that. So let's show you how we recruit students with this video. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to MRK 106, your first course in the marketing program. My name is Ken. So today we are going to spend some time to take a look at this topic called ethics and social responsibility. I'm going to show you some examples of how companies are doing their business. Right, just to recap on our progress report, every week we have got those like online quizzes or assignments. I hope you have enjoyed those. So why don't you open a new tab of your browser, go to presentria.com. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Let's end today's webinar. I hope you will find this lecture interesting. All right, enough advertisement from Seneca. Oh, okay. Margaret will agree that this is a very cool system, and we have also tried it in class. When we first developed it prior to the pandemic, we do it in Newnham campus, in Markham, in different courses, big or small, and students just love this kind of engagement. And I'm glad that other professors also feel the same way. So Professor Duncan Reed in Ressa, all right, they all love this, and I'm glad that they enjoy using the system for the classes. At Ryerson, they do it in a large class setup with fact people, so thanks to Professor Robert Oates. And in Hong Kong, because Paul's team is actually located in Hong Kong, we have got 90% market share in Hong Kong right now. All of the university except HKU have a site license with us, and Paul's team is managing them. Our server is located, in the cloud, but our network operating center is in Paul's team under CUHK in a tier 1 data center. And we also have a team here in Canada, Toronto, also doing design. Just to give you an idea about how interesting this system is, right now, just for CUHK alone at Paul's University, we have got about 300 prof using it actively, and they have got 2,000 registered users. Since we launched the service back in 2012, many years ago, we have logged over 4.5 million page views, which is about 20,000 sessions. We have also tried it around the world, so it also works. We have got some testimonials from Harvard University. Mark liked it a lot. In Canada, Athabasca, in Glasgow, in the UK, they have all checked it out, and they also give me the thumbs up. Thank you, Sarah, for writing a nice articles, about our venture. And I'm also happy that Robert from Mindshare also interviewed me, during his EdTech TV session. That was actually a fun one, because this guy was amazing, Thank you for the Ontario government. I'm very pleased that our hard work has been recognized by our honorable Minister of Colleges and Universities, and this is the award that we have received recently. Thank you, Margaret, for that. Actually, Ross also talked about you, thank you. Now, in terms of the challenges, just like any startups, number one challenges was, who are you? I've never heard about you. I hope this webinar helps to establish our credibility. Like, I'm a real person. You can talk to me, buy me coffee, and we can go for drinks. My name is Ken. Second comment is, I'm happy with Mandy or Kahoot or whatever. Don't bug me. I said, that's good. I won't bug you. Next. You're only 3 professors. How can you compete with the giants like Kahoot and others? Yes, we have 3 professors today, but we are growing, and also we have got thousands of professors helping us to fine-tune the system, even though they're not paid, but and I also welcome all of you to join the Presentria community to help. Because the system is used around the world, sometimes we have got the compliance challenge, and single sign-on is possible, but it costs you money. So there are things that we can do, and also things that we can do, but it costs, a lot of money. We'll figure out a solution and have a win-win situation.
Actually, Ken, can I just stop you there for one sec? Because
yes.
There were a few questions along those lines
okay,
from
yes.
the group that fits right in there. Questions about earlier about using the response system asynchronously. You might want to spend some time on that. But on technology, the IT support that users would be offered, and then integration into the LMS. There were questions about both of those.
Okay, 3 things. First, the asynchronous. So in the system, you have a multi-item, Presentria multi-item, in which you can basically create like a quiz. You can make it online available for, let's say, 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever, so that you don't have to do it synchronously, right? So students just log on whenever you feel comfortable, and then within that time period, and then you can end it manually and you can see the results. So you can use it as a replacement of like SurveyMonkey. Secondly, in terms of the technology, is it about SSO, like a single sign-on, or what was your question? Can you just rephrase it?
Oh, you know what, Ken? I'm going to interrupt you just for a sec, because Tim has a great question here, again, on the asynchronous. He's asking about planting questions into the lecture. So integrating asynchronous with a lecture that they would be doing on their own schedule. So I think that you're sort of covering that they would, like within the lecture that they're viewing asynchronously, they would be prompted then to answer a question that you've set up in the multi-item, right?
Exactly, that's right.
Yeah, it sounds complicated, Tim. It runs quite smoothly.
Yeah.
It's a pretty easy process to link the 2.
Yeah. Okay.
And an important one, like a very, very good question.
Right now, the system, the user interface is only English, but the system supports multilingual. So you can type Japanese, French, it supports like the double byte characters. So there's no problem for that. We've tried it out. Okay. When the students go to use the Presentria Go, they do need to have a smartphone that is GPS enabled. So when they first log in, they will actually ask them for the permission, right? It's like the Google, because we use the Google Map API for that. Okay, so we'll ask them for the permission. If they don't give the permission, then the trip cannot be carried out. And we can do single sign-on, but this different university and colleges have different systems. So we have to take a look at that on the side. It's possible because in Hong Kong, we have got all this set up already. Now, in terms of integration to LMS, that's a really good question. We talk about it all the time. Unfortunately, at this moment, it's only Blackboard that we can do at the enterprise level. So it is feasible. But other than that, for the regular accounts, we are not really connecting to your school's, LMS. May it be Moodle or Canvas or, Decide to Learn. But that does not mean we cannot do it. Yeah. So let's have a side discussion and we'll see, what is the best way to go about it. Okay. It's just time and money, right? There's a cost for that. I think in the future, in-car learning can be a potential, right? I don't know whether you have looked at the technology, but I've seen technology in which you can turn a car window into a screen. This is amazing, right? And if you like to help me out to make the product even more interesting, I invite all of you to participate in a survey, which we are running at the same time as well. Let me just quickly copy and paste this one, to the chat box if you are interested in filling it out. Okay. And finally, here's a bonus for all of you today. Each of you can receive a free basic account with no expiry date and no ads. It's free. Now, for the basic account, you can do everything that I've just talked about except Presentria Go, but the free account does not give you the detailed reporting offline, right? But if you just want to use it, during the webinar and you don't really care about the actual, results, they will be really fantastic, right? So feel free to sign up for a free account at presentria.ca, and all of your colleagues in your college and university can also do that as well. I'll probably send you an email twice a year, one for system maintenance, because sometimes we took down the server for regular maintenance, and maybe a note about happy holidays is coming up. In general, this is our price point. So if you want everything, it is $40 per professor per year. Of course, we have got the school license and enterprise level. I talked to VC lately, and of course, they are very angry with the pricing. They said, you will never make money on that. And my response was, my objective is not to make money. I know it sounds crazy, but if I want to make money, I'll become an iBanker instead of a professor. I just want to work with a team of professors to make the world better. And I'm thankful for Margaret and Paul and a lot of professors who are volunteering, not getting paid, to burn the midnight oils to make it happen. Today, we have got the interesting products. And in fact, in Germany, we have got Presentria Pepper. So we have got the SoftBank robot Pepper, which is integrated with our Presentria system, and it is in Germany. Last time we have got the demo in Hong Kong, but I don't have it in Canada because shipping it here is like 50K plus. This is the pandemic right now. There's nobody in class. So anyway, thank you so much for your time. I'll be more than happy to answer any more questions if you happen to have.
Thank you very much, Ken. I'll open the floor to questions. We have about 5 more minutes if there's any other burning questions that come in.
Great comments there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Dina, I think that Sarah had mentioned that it will all be available to you on Sarah's site. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just posted the link online. Basically, I just have to wait a good 10, 15 minutes for the recording to process, and then I will post it shortly after that.
All right. And once again, thank you so much for time attending this webinar. I know the pandemic has been challenging, but I think by working together as a team, as a community, we can help each other no matter where you are located in this planet Earth. to make our students, having a much better learning experience going forward.
Great. There is a question from Tim here. Maybe we have time to address that. He says that he sees it working in the car, but he's wondering about it working at the cellular level for small stuff. So I don't know if that's a question about how precise the geolocation is.
Okay, very good, very good.
And then someone else was asking about just confirming that the students would have to turn on their GPS.
Yes, they have to turn on the GPS, so the system will ask them. Very good question, Tim. So because we're using the GPS, right? So the system is good for out.
Sorry, he meant literally cellular level.
All right, so if you are talking about the 1xEVDO 3G network, it's challenging, but if you talk about LTE 4G, that's better. And if you're using the 5G network, Ref1, from Telus or Bell, that is fantastic, I'm telling you, okay? In simple English, it works. Now, but because the nature of GPS is that you have to have the satellite, connection there. So it is not a good idea to do it inside a shopping mall, store by store, because you're indoor, right? Depending on how many levels of the store it is. So my suggestion is if you have a trip that you can get students to travel to different places in the neighborhood, that will be wonderful. Now, there is another usage, which is the flipped classroom. So basically, instead of getting students to go out to do it, you actually ask them to design the trip for you. So each student will design the trip, no matter they're in India or China or Japan or France, and then they can set it up in their own neighborhood. So the learning actually takes place when they think about the questions to ask, think about the YouTube videos or WeChat thing to incorporate, and then they can actually try it themselves in their own neighborhood using their phone. And this is a very interesting and engaging way to teach a subject using a flipped classroom manner. Okay. All right. Once again, if you have any more questions, I've got my email address up there, ken.wong@senecacollege.ca, or you can reach Margaret as well. We work as a team. And feel free to buy us coffee if you want to talk further on this one. All right, it's snowing out there. Safe driving, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you who are joining from overseas, thank you so much and good evening. Bye-bye.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Ken and
everybody.
Margaret. This was
Yeah.
wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.